Hello YouTube, welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Porsche 91730. Okay, this car is, it's insane. This car is genuinely insane. I'm going to say that right now. I don't think I do this car justice. I think I drive this car pretty badly, but you got to cut me some slack. It is my first time driving this car, and it's just whoa. The car is just absolutely whoa. This was developed for the, if I remember correctly, it was developed for the CanAm series, so the American racing series, and they had really strange regulations because it was sort of do what you want, build the best car you can, and so that's exactly what Porsche went and did. And this car is 800 kilos. I was going to say 800 grams. It's not 800 grams. It's 800 kilograms. So it's a very light car. But check this. 1,200 BHP. For 800 kilos. 1,200 BHP. That comes in at 8,000 RPM. It also comes with 1,200 Newton meters of torque. Or 1,210 Newton meters of torque. That comes in at just over 6,000, I think about 6,500 RPM. But for an 800 kilogram car, it's just mental. All of that is produced by a V12 engine, or actually, it's not a V12, it's a flat 12 engine. And that's obviously a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive car, I keep saying V12, flat 12, which is a 5.4 litre? I think it's a 5.4 litre, 2 valves per cylinder, dual overhead cam, and that's paired to a 4-speed manual gearbox, plus reverse. So this car in itself is just, as you can see, I'm just all over the place. This car in itself is just mind-boggling, and I think it was from the 1970s. I can't remember exactly which year it was from, but I think it was from 1973 or 1972. Anyway, they built this car. A bit of history about this car is they originally built this car and it was meant to be a 16-cylinder engine. Now, I don't know whether that was going to be a flat 16 or a V16. I'm guessing a flat 16. And that was producing about 750 brake horsepower. And then they changed it to this turbocharged 12-cylinder because it had the same power. And the 16-cylinder was kind of too long, and they had to lengthen the chassis, and the drivers didn't like it, and so on and so forth. So then we had the 91710, which was 850 bhp, which was turbocharged, and that won the 1972 racing series, Penske Racing. So they had that, and this was a series that McLaren were sort of all over. Then they evolved it, and we got this car, the 91730, had better aerodynamics, the wheelbase was longer, 5.4 litre engine. Now, I say 1,200 brake horsepower, that's what you're driving with. It could get up to 1,580 horsepower, which was what won the 1973 series, and that was winning every single race except one. And of course, the McLaren was sort of just gone. It was just gone after that, because they just couldn't keep up. They could just about maybe keep up with the 91710, but the 91730 was gone. So McLaren, they decided, well, let's go concentrate on the Indy and Formula One, and we all know what happened in the history of Formula One as McLaren went through. So there we go. What else about this car? 0 to 60, yeah, with all that power, what do you think the 0 to 60 is? Well, I can tell you that the 0 to 60 on this car is a phenomenal 2.2 seconds, or thereabouts. 2.2 seconds, 0 to 60. 0 to 120 is 5.4 seconds. And to get to 180 miles an hour, 11.3 seconds. And the top speed of this car was 241 miles an hour. 241 miles an hour. That's what it was. And this car was just, it did get that title of unbeatable, because it genuinely was unbeatable pretty much. And then what happened is they changed the rules for CanAm to do with turbochargers. So this car sort of died because it couldn't race in 1974. It was 1973 and that was it. 1975, Mark Donoghue set a world record at Talladega in another version of this car, and I think that was this actual this super high speed. And now, well, this car is just in a museum, but I think it goes around the world in these museums. You know, one of those rolling museums or something. So that's what it goes around the world in. It's a very, very incredible car. This car is, and you know, for a 1970s car, major wins. You're talking 1973 Watkins Glen CanAm, Mid-Ohio the CanAm race, Road America CanAm, Edmonton CanAm, Laguna Seca CanAm, Riverside CanAm. You know, it's a very, 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 very well coveted car. So, what's it like in Assetto Corsa? That's an interesting one. In Assetto Corsa, first of all, model very, very accurate, very, very accurate modeling, very, very accurate detailing on the colors, on the, I mean, I love that vent. You know, you get the vent on the side of it as I go off again. You can see the vent, well, you can't see it now because I'm not looking that way. Well, you can just see a little bit over the wheel well, over the wheel arch. You can just see that vent at the back to let the air flow through better and all of that. Everything's really, really modelled and textured incredibly nicely in Assetto Corsa, as Kunos always do. Sounds-wise, I think it's pretty good as well. Again, just a little bit quiet. I find these Kunos sounds, some of them are loud, some of them are a little bit quiet. The turbo is definitely audible in this car. It's very, very nicely audible. But mainly, it's the physics of this car that really matter. And, oh boy, does this car deliver when it comes to physics. This is possibly the hardest car to drive in Assetto Corsa, hands down. I don't think I've had to drive a car harder than this. I'm just thinking. Even a McLaren P1 with traction control off isn't as hard to drive as this. The Koenigsegg 1.1 was not as hard to drive as this. Ferrari F40 has nothing on this in terms of difficulty of driving. Obviously, this is a race car. It's designed to go incredibly fast, and it wasn't, well, I suppose it does race on some tracks like this, but the way the turbo comes in on this car at about 5,000 RPM, it just spools up and then suddenly it just hits you. It really just hits you, and you've got to either short shift or just watch yourself on the throttle. As you can see here, I'm just watching myself on the throttle now. It was incredible. The power on this car was just simply incredible, and you have to be so careful. The car's heavy. It feels like it's, you know, it feels like it wants to throw you off, but it feels like it also wants to grip the ground. When it grips, it grips. It's only when those rear wheels start spinning up as the turbo lag kicks in, and, you know, like that. You can just see I'm constantly torque steering. It's just got a constant torque steer because of this turbo lag, and it's just so, it's a very, very incredible car to drive. I've never driven a car like this before. That being said, I think I have to come across one downside of this particular car, and I don't know if it's a downside of the car or a downside of Assetto Corsa, and that is, and you're going to notice here at the hairpin. So I've slowed it right down. You can see. Can you hear that? That tire squeal. I complained about this in one extra video that I made about improvements that need to be made for in Assetto Corsa, whether they do an Assetto Corsa 2 or not. And one of them was, at incredibly low speeds, the tires seem to start squealing in a way that they really shouldn't be squealing. They don't handle correctly. You just saw me just sort of wiggle across the track there. They don't feel very natural at all at those incredibly low speeds. Now the problem is a car like this, which is designed to go very, very fast, but in something like hairpins has nowhere near the downforce needed to go at any decent rate. You have to slow it down. And when you slow it down, that's what happens. You get this really weird sensation, and I don't like that. Apart from that, the rest of the car is really, really nice. Very, very hard. Personally, not my favorite car. Not my favorite in terms of racing cars or anything. But it has a very, very, very important place in history, not just in Porsche's history, but in racing history. So, Porsche 91730, what can I rate it out of 10? Well, for what it's made, I think it's about a 9.5 out of 10. For what Assetto Corsa have made it to be. So, I don't know whether I should just leave it at 9.5 out of 10 and say that this car is one of those cars that you really need to try and get right to really enjoy. Or should I say that personally I don't like the car so much, so I have to knock it down? I think I'm just going to leave it at the 9.5 out of 10. So far, it seems that they've done a really good job. I'm giving these Porsche packs quite high ratings. These Porsche cars, which is always good. You know, I like giving high ratings. And I'm just going to pull into the pits here because I'm done with this car. And I'll just pull up and I'll take a little bit of a look around the car. But that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Assetto Corsa. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think of this car. And let me know what you think of the other cars in the Porsche pack. Next up, I think I'll have a look at the Cayman GT4 and then swiftly move on to Porsche Pack 2. 918 Spider, that's going to have to wait for a special episode. I'll see you guys next time.